Team Dai Gurren, a brigade of heroes who not only saved humanity, but the universe. They left their mark on history, both in their world and in ours. And with how over the top the show is, some of the theatrics and abilities the heroes show off are quite impressive. But exactly how strong are they? How do they stack up when we look at their feats at face value? As a fan of versus debates, I've been interested in this topic for quite some time. So for this Gurren Lagann month, I'm going to look at and analyze the strengths, feats, abilities, and equipment of some of the core cast, starting with the resident sniper, Miss Yoko Littner. So how strong is Yoko? First, let's give a little background on the character. We first meet Yoko in episode 1, where she starts off as a spunky teenage freedom fighter. Her exact age is unknown, but she's somewhere in between Kamina's age and Simone's age. Originally from Littner Village, that pit became uninhabitable, and the villagers were forced to move to the surface, where beastmen were waiting for them. Eventually she ran into Jihad Village and met with Kamina and Simone, getting roped in their crazy ideas that led them to take on the beastmen and save the world. Twice. To me, it's pretty clear that this group has only been on the surface for a couple years, as they're knowledgeable enough on gunmen's attack patterns and know enough of firearms and explosives. They have a base of operations, but are clearly not enough of a threat to get the general's direct attention, so they probably haven't been there for too long. So let's just say that Yoko has roughly about 2 years worth of combat experience, given her age. She's gotten quite skilled with her equipment in both that time and during the events of the show. Of course, Yoko is always seen with her signature energy rifle, based off the real Barrett M82. The real-life counterpart has a 10-round mag, a maximum range of a few thousand meters, a free recoil of a little over 100 joules, and a muzzle velocity of over 2,000 feet per second. But Yoko's rifle completely blows it out of the water. This thing has the ability to fire at least 15 rounds before needing to reload or recharge, as seen in her fight in episode 21. She's been able to push an entire gunman with it, as seen in episode 8. The exact size and weight of these gunmen is unknown, but let's say they're around 30 feet tall and likely heavier than the average car, which is about 4,000 pounds. Just one shot from Yoko's rifle is enough to send these guys flying through the air. I couldn't find a good way to calculate just how strong this is, as there are too many unknown variables, but let's go ahead and say it's probably close to a car crash, so likely over 50,000 pounds of force with each shot. Shots from her rifle have also been able to rip through gunmen armor, as seen in the fight against Athene and after the time skip when she protects her students. Normal rifles would need specific piercing rounds to go through metal. Yoko's rifle can use different types of ammunition, from regular rounds to arrows to even meatball bullets for a joke. Looking at the attack against Athene, the hole created is comparable in size to Nia's head. The hole that most rifles would create would be closer to that of a pin, even with rounds that are meant to blow outwards. So the closer comparison of her rifle was to that of a tank round. So to put that into numbers, using the US M1 Abrams as a comparison, it's able to output about 2 million joules of energy with each shot at max, which is way more than the 145,000 per square meter needed to break through metal. Even if these numbers are a little off, it's still by and large significantly more powerful than any actual sniper rifle. And that's impressive for reasons that we'll get to when it comes to her physical capabilities. In the first movie, we see that she has a way to convert her weaponry, turning her gun into an SMG on the fly. And in episode 21, it's shown that there are a lot more attachments hidden in her home. We've also seen her tinkering with her rifle, so it's likely that she's upgraded it several times over the years. Besides that, she carries a sidearm in her ponytail, which is capable of breaking through metal chains with a single shot, as seen in episode 6. And she also rides on a hover scooter. The scooter can launch into the air, getting at least Gurren Lagann's height, so about 30 or 40 feet at minimum. Towards the end of episode 21, it was able to reach the island to the mainland in pretty good time, so if we compare it to a jet ski or a speeder boat, it's capable of reaching about 40 to 60 miles per hour. Her arsenal is pretty impressive, but how she uses it is even more so. She shot Kitan's smoke bombs on a Warble Runner, deflected a gunman's punch to save Kamina and Simone, followed Viral while he was under full cover as he made a mad dash to his gunman, and blasted several other mecha away while on Iraq's gunman in episode 8. One of her most impressive feats is in episode 13. When Simone and Yoko fly off to fight Sidomander, they run into Viral for a dogfight. Yoko fires at Viral from the cockpit when the two gunmen are locked up and flying through the air. Judging by the animation, she isn't even using her scope, and manages to get a shot off close to Viral's head while they're flying. Gurren Lagann can fly fast enough to leave Earth's atmosphere, so 17,000 miles per hour. While it's unlikely that it was moving that fast, it's still really impressive. And of course, in the final battle, she managed to get a shot on the anti-spiral's homeworld, shooting a planet from light years away. Yoko is still quite strong without her weapon. Remember how earlier I mentioned that the power of a rifle accounted for her physical capabilities as well? Well, if we're comparing her rifle to that of the M1 Abrams tank rifle, that means the recoil is around 2 million newtons. To put that into perspective, it takes 4,000 newtons to break bones. And in episode 11, she wielded her rifle with just one arm, getting a few shots off to try and save Rasu. If we look at her pistol, which is capable of destroying steel chains, that makes it comparable to some of the strongest handguns in our world, something like a Desert Eagle or a hand cannon. And once again, she fires this with just one hand. This really helps back up her feat of shooting the rifle with one arm. She's also able to survive falling in a steel chain from the Sauna gunman with no injuries, and falling from this giant height with only moderate injuries. The Sauna gunman was taller than that of Gurren Lagann, which, as stated previously, stands at around 30 to 40 feet, so the fall was probably close to 100 feet, give or take. It was at least far enough to break apart the steel cage they were inside, and Yoko runs off completely unharmed, and the others also fly off comedically, but are later shown unharmed as well. Spiral beings are just built different. As for the fall in episode 13, the camera angle makes that distance pretty hard to tell, but it was at least around 10 seconds of falling. A typical person falling for 10 seconds will fall around 340-ish meters, or over 1,000 feet. She also survived this explosion in episode 12 despite not being behind cover, along with the rest of Team Dai Gurren. Considering the camera angle and the shape of the cloud, let's say that it's at least half as powerful as the little boy bomb in World War II. Her durability is way beyond superhuman, as is her physical strength. Yoko is able to kick Kamina's head into solid stone in episode 5, cracking it and pushing the man into dense earth. So let's say that she has the same kicking power as a sledgehammer, which according to some sources would average at around 5 to 10,000 pounds of force. She's also able to throw chalk hard enough to embed itself into the stone walls of her classroom. Then we get to the movie feats. In Childhood's End, her most impressive feat is during a fight against Adine. Using just her hairpins, she was able to pierce Adine's tail. Earlier, Adine's tail was shown to be strong enough to block point-blank gunfire from Yoko's sidearm, which, reminder, can break through steel. Even if we want to argue that Yoko stabbed one of the joints of Adine's tail, which was a weaker portion, it would still need to be comparable in durability to the main sections of her tail. Plus, there had to have been at least 1 or 2 bullets that hit the midsections of her tail. She has the ability to fight close combat, taking on the Beast Woman on episode 6 and slinging her rifle around in the first movie before fighting Adine. In the second movie, she gets a boost from Simone, gaining enhanced spiral power and a new mecha capable of fighting against Krasenbama, putting it at least at galaxy level. With spiral power now in consideration, this increases her physical capability by a large margin, meaning the numbers that we've discussed so far could be even higher. And we can see the extent of that in her final fight. She and the others receive a power boost, becoming as strong as Simone is with spiral power. Now, this does mean that the high end of her feats, like surviving the Big Bang and shooting a planet, were assisted feats, but they are still things that she could do if her spiral power was high enough. And in that final fight, we also see her reacting at light year speed along with Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. So that was a lot of numbers. Back to the question, how strong is Yoko? She's physically strong enough to break through at least stone, as it's a little unclear if she does break through steel. Her leg can put out a few thousand pounds of force with just a few strikes. She's durable enough to survive gigantic explosions with an explosive yield of about 7 to 15 kilotons. And she's quick enough to react to Adine, who can launch her tail fast enough to block gunfire. Her rifle has a destructive power similar to a tank, outputting over 1 million joules with each shot, and as a spiral being, she can evolve to become even stronger. With her enhanced spiral power in the second movie, her physical attributes skyrocket, and she can conjure her own gunmen to fight at a universal level. Despite not being primarily a mecha pilot, Yoko is more than capable of keeping up with the rest of the team. From her stupidly powerful equipment to her insane physical feats, Yoko is easily one of Team Dai Gurren's strongest members. The whole team has a lot of crazy abilities, but Yoko can still stack up and proudly stand alongside them.